So how do we solve this problem? The government can produce public goods and pay for it with a tax on beneficiaries. Cost-benefit analysis is a subfield of economics that is very much concerned with trying to estimate the costs and benefits of investing in public projects. And trying to figure out if the benefits exceed the cost requires adding up how much the people in the community would benefit from such a proposal being built, compare it to the cost of construction, and try to decide if on net it's a worthwhile undertaking. So here's an example. One sort of public good is flood control. If the city, say, builds a levee alongside of a river that protects the citizens against flood control, this has benefits for everybody. Once they built the levee, it protects everybody alongside the river, regardless of whether or not they have paid for it. In that sense, it's non-excludable. It's non-rival in that when the levee protects my house from flooding, it protects everybody else's house from flooding the same way. I can't just protect the houses of the people who have paid. So consider this example. Mo and Larry live near a river that sometimes floods. Each would benefit from building a wall along the bank to lessen the chance of the flood. And the table shows the value Mo and Larry place on an additional foot of the wall. The higher the wall, the lower the probability of a flood. Mo has a lower willingness to pay for the levee, while Larry has a higher willingness to pay for the levee. You might think of this as, say, Larry has a nicer house, so he's got a more valuable piece of property to protect. Now, if we look at the first foot of wall, we can see that Mo is willing to pay $100. Larry is willing to pay $200 to protect their house, to reduce the risk of flood by some amount that would be associated with a 1-foot high wall. This means that building the first foot of wall brings $300 in benefits to the citizens, to the citizens Mo and Larry. The second foot will sort of be less important in the sense that maybe the river doesn't get up that high every year, and so the second foot of wall would bring a smaller benefit to each of them. The third foot of wall would bring a smaller benefit even than that, and the fourth foot of wall would bring just $25 in additional benefit to Mo and $50 in additional benefit to Larry, for a total of $75 in benefits. So what we want to do then is compare this to the cost of building the wall. If we say that the wall would cost, say, $150 per foot to build, well, then the first foot should get built. It provides $300 in benefits. The second foot should get built. It provides $225 in benefits. And the third foot should get built. It provides $150 in benefits. But the fourth foot provides $75 in benefits, but costs $150. That's not worth it. Now, here's the trick. The trick is, how do you get people to tell the truth? Now, notice that at $150 per foot, Mo says, no thanks. I don't think I want any of the wall built. And Larry would have an incentive to build the first 2 feet of the wall himself, and Mo could free ride. So for no cost, Mo could watch Larry build the first 2 feet of wall without chipping in. So getting people to tell the truth is difficult. How do you decide how to split the bill? Well, that's also difficult. If we split it even up, if we decided that each of our residents had to pay for half, then Mo and Larry wouldn't have the benefits distributed in equal proportion to the cost. Now, measuring benefits is difficult without prices. You can ask people how much they would benefit, but they're not always believable. They have an incentive to hide their true valuation. You could try to infer it from other data. You could try to, for instance, estimate the probability of a flood and multiply it times the value of people's homes and come up with some estimate as to what we think people's benefit would be from, for example, flood control. One of the things that's often interesting is when we think about safety regulations or environmental protection or things like that, is that that economists are often asked to try to decide how much a life is worth. Now, if you ask a person what their life is worth, then they'll say, well, whatever we can do to save it. But what we observe is that some people choose to work at risky jobs for higher wages, for instance. You can think about people who work in a construction zone versus people who do essentially the same job in a very safe place. And what you see is that what you can do then is infer how much extra compensation, how much higher wages do I need in order to take on an increased probability of accident or an increased probability probability of death. And when economists do these sorts of studies, they estimate that people value their own lives, or seem to make decisions that value their own lives, at about $10 million. Now, it's important to do this kind of analysis because, as we know, economics is interested in the problem of scarcity. And when we think about scarcity, we have to decide which safety investments to make. We can't make them all. We can't make safety investments that would save everybody's lives. So being able to compare the cost effectiveness of different kinds of safety investments is important. And so being able to do these kinds of calculations and think in this sort of terms can help us make better economic decisions and save more lives than we would if we decided, well, just save everybody. Everybody's life is priceless. So how do we solve the free rider problem? How do we solve the problem of public goods? We can think about different examples. The first one is, if we think about national defense, this is provided by the government. Another sort of public good that's important is the creation of research and knowledge. Once scientists make new discoveries, these things become part of the public good. And one solution to the problem has been we create universities that are interested in providing basic research. Another thing that we do is we allow for the creation of patents, where for some period of time a company can hold a patent over an innovation or a development of knowledge. And so for some period of time, they get the exclusive right to sell the good, and they're protected by the patent system. And this encourages private firms to create knowledge by giving them a short-term temporary property right. Poverty is often thought of as a public good. We would all benefit from the reduction of poverty, and once poverty goes down, we can't constrain the benefits of poverty reduction only to those people who have contributed to it. We have government programs that fight this, and another very important part is charity. So you can see charity sometimes stepping in to provide public goods.